Ladies and gentlemen, I'm John Mafnas. We have the debut of VERAfied Podcast. What's up, Franklin?
Doing well, buddy.
What's up,
Good to be
BV?
here. Great to be here.
Doing?
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the VERAfied Podcast. Absolutely, episode 1. So if you're here, you're on the ground floor of what we believe is going to be the greatest podcast out there. I know other podcasters are going to say,
good ones out
wait
there.
a minute. Okay. JJ Reddick, don't freak out.
Joe Rogan.
Joe Rogan. To my left, we have the Chief, Franklin Arriola. Mm-hmm. And Frank, who is this guy? Who is this superstar right here?
MMA superstar, former one world champion, heavyweight, action star in the Philippines. He travels all over the place. He's in the Philippines. He lives here on Guam now. He goes back and forth to his homeland in the Philippines and in Virginia. Just came back from a trip. He's also a wonderful husband and a great father. None other than Brandon Vera.
What's up, B?
What's up, guys? How's it going?
It's good to be here.
It's weird, man. It's super awesome, but it's really, really cool. It doesn't seem real. Like we're dreaming right now.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thanks, Chief.
Yeah, of course, man. It's
Thank
fun.
you, Sir John.
Thank you.
We talked
Thank
about
you.
this a year ago.
Yeah.
At your in Manila.
Yeah. Yeah, man. This doesn't seem real. Look, everything's set up. The studio's set.
But I remember when we had that conversation, we were in Manila, and you said, guys, I have a lot to say. And I want to do a podcast. And I remember it was Kuya Lloyd and it was Brother Frank and me. And we looked at you, and I think you thought we were going to say, okay, he's lost it. He got hit one too many times. And we said, sure, let's do it.
we have a lot to say, too.
Right out the gate. Oh, really?
now
okay,
here we are.
Go. Let's go.
And of course, right, we're going to be talking about everything from Grappler's Quest to Truth Apparel and... but we're a VERAfied Podcast. Before we go on, let's recognize, right?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I don't even want to call them sponsors. Let's call them partners. Our biggest partner, Guam Army National Guard.
Master Sergeant Joey Cruz.
In the house, yep.
Thank you guys very much. Looking forward to seeing you guys at all of our events and this podcast every single time. Thank you.
Absolutely. And Frank, I mean, that means a lot to us, but I mean, this is a veteran saying that, right?
Air Force veteran, and you know the footprint of the Guam Army National Guard in this region, right? There's like 2,000 strong up there at their base, and they only add to the community and everything that as part of our mission here in Guam, serving our country. So they've been a great sponsor. They sponsor a lot of different things. Our Grappler's Quest coming up, the podcast, VERAfied Podcast, as well as other grappling events. So we're really excited to have them on board.
Yeah, they're active
very
everywhere.
active.
Yeah.
And then let's just be honest, right? I mean, Master Sergeant Joey Cruz is a badass soldier, but he's also a BJJ practitioner, right?
He trains, I went over to, where we're at?
Autos. Yeah.
Autos before I left to our California, Virginia East Coast trip. And I got to train over there with Professor Mike. And I saw Master Sergeant Joey. He was on his way out, I was on my way in for an open mat, but it was cool seeing him there. I forgot that he was a certified bad mother trucker on the mats,
He traveled with Lloyd to Las Vegas.
That's right.
For a recent competition.
To go compete, at the Worlds, I believe. So he's legit, man. He's about the sport. He loves training, and he's really committed to helping build the National Guard, man. Like it's different with him. It's hard to explain, man. The attention to detail he puts on the mat is exactly what he's doing towards his servicemen and
Great
building
analogy.
that. Yeah.
Great analogy.
I got to meet Joey, and we spent a little time with him. But yeah, he's just one of these guys. He's true, right? He's perfect for us, right? Because no bullshit with that guy. If everybody who's watching, you take a look at the set, it's beautiful. If you're hearing it clearly. If we look good, and I never look good, so if I look good, it's because of the 3 blind mice, right? And I gotta give. We all have to just give shout outs, Frank.
Not to be mixed up with the 3 bald heads. Right. The 3 Blind Mice is an action organization. Our partners who put on the podcast, the lighting, the sound, the camera, all of this stuff.
Oh my God,
great guys,
brothers Bojo, Gary, Rob. Duke.
And I just want to send a shout out kasi kababayan natin yan. Pinoy na Pinoy. Thank you, 3 Blind Mice. Salamat. Let's go.
That's right. And then another sponsor of ours, Guam Windward Memorial, Brother Bobby Salas.
Bob Salas, yep.
Yeah, got to give out a shout out to Rob Salas and our girl Sabrina Salas Matanani.
Yep.
Yeah, what a great group.
Thank you very much.
Yep.
So, B.
Yes, sir.
I can go on and talk about it. And every time somebody asked me when I would go out and I would promote, hey, we've got a podcast coming out. It's going to feature Brandon, the Truth Vera. We're going to have the great Chief Franklin Arriola. They say, what is it? Why another podcast? And let's be honest, right? We were teasing earlier, right? Joe Rogan, JJ Redick. There's about 1.3 gajillion, I don't even know if that's a number, podcasts out there. Everybody talking about why the podcast? I give my own explanation. Why the VERAfied Podcast? Why was it important that we do this?
You know, for me, it's been a big dream because I can post and I can reach certain people with social media, but I'm shadow banned. You have to type my entire name in for you to find me on any platform. You know?
Shadow banned, yeah.
I understand and I don't mind it. And everybody's
I'm
like,
old. I don't know that word, but that's okay. Yeah.
So people ask, why don't you go to another platform like Truth Social or other platforms where people don't get shadow banned? And for me, that's the easy fight. That's where all your bros and everybody that already agrees with you.
Echo chamber.
Yeah, I don't want to be there. I want to be where people want to argue with them. People want to find out. People will ask me questions. People want to find the truth, you know? I'm not saying I'm correct all the time, but I don't mind asking questions and I don't mind looking like an idiot. I've been getting my ass beat for my entire life, you know? Man, if you can't hurt me with words.
Also been beating up some serious ass, right? So
so taking a verbal ass whooping is nothing for me, and I look forward to those conversations where you learn and you understand that maybe what you thought wasn't what you thought it was, or the way that you thought it was. Except for things like I have to stick this in. There is a definition for a woman and there is a definition for a man. Okay, we don't need to. This ain't that type of show. We're not confused here, okay?
Yeah. We know our pronouns. Yeah. Sorry.
Well, that's interesting, Brandon. You talk about information and seeking the truth. John asked me before we got started, Frankie, what got you going on this thing? And I told him, I said, because people, they seek the truth, right? And in the United States of America today, unfortunately, there's media outlets that they don't give you the truth. They actually suppress it. They hide it. They twist it. They do all kinds of things with it. And really, and I feel for those who aren't aggressive enough to seek the truth, right? Because you have to look all these different platforms on your phone, on your tablets. There's all kinds of sources of information. And I thought it's important because that's, the three of us hit it off really well in Manila when we talked about this. We just said, there needs to be more voices like ours to push forward, looking for the truth and actually questioning, right? Questioning what's going on over here, what's going on over there, right? I do a monthly column at the Guam Daily Post, and one of my first columns was questioning corporate media because they suppress information. They don't tell you everything. And a lot of these people are walking around kind of blind, right? You haven't heard about this? And so
they haven't.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
they don't know. And so this is one of those things that I think is really important. And as our show comes along, you'll see us dig into the details of these tough issues.
Sir John and Chief, the timing of this couldn't be more excellent because, when you're under contracts with certain organizations and people and under certain things, I'm not going to say that you're being told not to say X, Y, Z, but it's frowned upon in some organizations. I was blessed enough that one championship. Thank you guys very much. Thank you, Chatri. Thank you, Victor.
Shout out to one.
Chatri.
They never really told us not to say anything. I remember there was a hot button issue with Myanmar. We weren't allowed to talk about that. That's the only time that ever came up, So, but I still couldn't, under contract, I felt like I couldn't say certain things. So my posts have been pretty vague, and a post can get lost in translation. If it's just a quote or just a sentence, can be lost either way. But I couldn't talk about it before. And now, where we're at in life, I kind of don't have to tell I don't have to hold back anymore. I can kind of just tell what I want to
Tell it
tell.
like it is.
You know?
Yeah,
So
you bet.
the timing of this is perfect. Thank you guys.
And gents, I mean, I think it's safe to say we invite everybody. We want everybody to listen,
Yeah.
right? No matter what, even if your viewpoints, your perspective, they don't align with ours. What we are going to tell you is the truth. We're not going to seek out political correctness. If we offend you,
Sorry.
we're not going to apologize. It'd probably be sorry, not sorry, right?
Yeah.
And B's going to say sorry, but I know what he means. It's like, sorry, so find another show or stick around because maybe you'll understand that we need an alternative to what Frank and I were talking about before the show, right? Which is there's a lot of fake news out there.
Yeah. And I just talked about the media, right? We're going to also touch on higher education in America. I mean, I've always wondered what's with these kids today. I just couldn't understand it. To Hamas, Palestine, the Israel war. I mean, people are taking sides, and I'm thinking to myself, man, there's so much to get into it. So, and a lot of that, and you just hear these universities. And what signaled me was really interesting was these super wealthy guys, very successful financially. They're starting to pull their grants and donations to their alma mater. Right? They've been giving tens of millions of dollars over the course of 15, 20, 30, 40 years. And now all of a sudden they're stopping it. You gotta ask yourself why. And then you watch these guys when they're interviewed on certain news channels and they explain exactly why. The kids today aren't getting the right information. And it's a very slanted view of America and our position in the world, as well as our history of the country. And I think it's important for us to help educate and enlighten them about what really is going on. And not that I know all of it, or not that we know all of it, but there needs to be another voice that says, hey, listen, you should take a look at this because it's important.
And I think something that Brandon said, I think it's, guys, you're going to listen. We're not always going to be right.
Yep.
We're not always going to be correct, but we're not going to lie to you. I think that's the key.
That's real.
Yeah.
And I think it's very, very important that everybody understand our view is different than the rest of the world, and I'd say the mainland as well, because my pari told me, he said it best. He said, you're an American who lives in Asia, who lives in the Philippines, America's longest, greatest ally, but you work in Asia. And this is when I was going to China. He's like, what's that like? I said, man, I'm politicking every day by accident. You don't even know. So the world needs to understand our podcast is going to be different because our view out here is very involved in both parts of the world. Yeah. We are very involved with the U.S. mainland, and we are very involved with everything that's happening in Asia.
You bet.
So I think our perspective is going to be a little bit different than the rest of the world. Not just whether we're agreeing or not, like we have different points, like we've seen different things. The news out here is different. News in the Philippines, they don't blur out stuff, so it's different out here. It's different.
It sure is. Brandon, before we began, I kind of mentioned to John, one of the purposes of this and the kind of the direction of this talk show, this podcast, would be exactly what you just said, Brandon. We are in the Indo-Pacific region, man. 10 years ago, Guam used to be called the tip of the spear. Today, we're called the target, right? Yeah. And you all know what we're talking about,
yes,
right?
Sir.
And so we are some neighbors up north of us, and because we're a United States outpost, or we're part of we're territory of the United States, as a result of that, there's some significant challenges and real. This is not,
it's not drill. Maybe might happen.
This is real, right? And so we're in harm's way. There's no question about it. I think we need to be honest about that. But that being said, there's a lot of things that our motherland country they should hear what's going on out here.
Yep.
And I think we're in a good position to do that.
Thank you, gents. You are listening and watching VERAfied Podcast, presented to you by Three Blind Mice, the Guam National Guard, and Guam Windward Memorial. B, you have, I don't know, if you combine all of your social media platforms, you have over probably 1 million, maybe closer to 2. And if people didn't restrict certain things you say, you'd probably have something in the neighborhood of 5 million followers. But you have several million people following you. and they listen to you, they trust you, and they've watched you. But, you know, there might be a couple people hiding under a rock. They're tuning in and they want to know, who is Brandon Vera? I want to ask Frank first if I could, but I want to get your perspective when people ask who you are, where that comes from. But real quick, when you hear Brandon Vera, how do you explain to your friends, right, why he's a business partner, why you are such a huge support of this man?
You know, in addition to all that stuff, the MMA, the championships, the movie star stuff, what struck me is his genuine humanness, right? He's a genuine human. He's a good man, right? And I don't.
Thanks, guys.
He's a good guy, right? I mean, the way he talks, he's humble. He's incredibly respectful. He calls us sir. I'm like, hey, bro.
Yeah, absolutely.
I know I'm a little bit older than you, but we're
but
business
you know
partners.
He does that out of respect.
Absolutely,
and
and his upbringing, and that's why one of the things, just kind of, as we're talking about this, the one guy I really want to have him on our show as a kind of a dial-in guest or whatever is his dad. I really, he's got some really great stories about your father growing up.
Yeah,
you know, an OG. He's an OG Filipino, right?
OG. What do you call him? OG first
generation.
First gen.
Yeah.
First gen from the province to the mainland. Yeah, to the U.S. So different kind of life. Yeah, different.
And the neighborhood you were raised in. Can you describe that real quickly?
So we lived in a blue collar neighborhood. We moved into a white collar neighborhood later on. But where we worked we were the Asian family in the hood.
In the hood.
We, like, where my dad's restaurant was in Portsmouth Boulevard, P-Town, and
is that Virginia?
In Virginia, and then there's pimps on one side, there's hookers over there, there's a strip club across the street. Like, we were in the hood, man. That's where we worked. We were the one. So my life was a little bit different. You know, you see all these shows on Netflix and on Hulu where you see the stereotypical Asian family Korean store, Asian family cooking in the thing in the hood, and how everything's kind of crazy, and oh my God, that can't be real. No, man,
that's you guys.
That was real life, yo. That's real life. But I lived it, you know. Before it was movies and before it was cool, before it became hashtagable, we were already in it. So I thought that's how normal life was. Wait till that comes out, man. Just wait. Yeah.
And so to your question, if you again, your belts are here and all your good stuff's here, but that's what makes people what they are. You just look at their upbringing, how they were raised, who they were raised by, and the values that they have. That's what I know. I have a good feel for him, right? And so that's why I want him to get his dad in there, his siblings, the OG guys who he grew up with, because there are some crazy stories you were telling us.
Yeah.
And I thought it's pretty cool, man.
Can you imagine? I mean, if he was in studio, it'd be great. But even Skyping in, right? He's going to start off with Brandon, and then we get all the stories, which is wonderful.
Man,
Brandon, hard question to answer, right, about yourself. But if the question comes out, right, who is Brandon Vera?
I think the easiest way to answer that is someone who's been trying to find himself since he was a child, who's found love and what's the other feeling? Love and fulfillment through piecework, through violence.
Wow. That's kind of a paradox, but
all of it. That's me.
Yeah.
I'm a walking oxymoron.
That's why I can't wait to get to the Virginia story. I'm telling you, people, the Virginia stories will give you a real clear idea of what this paradox is all about. Trust me.
Man.
Great man, but boom.
Yeah. Growing up, B, was there ever an internal conflict of being a better American and a better Filipino? Were you able to just kind of, maybe your upbringing, your parents were able to kind of allow you to be both? How did that work out for you?
You know, how to explain this? I knew I had to be, being a patriot is easy. I love saying the Pledge of Allegiance. I grew up in Norfolk, Virginia. I loved the military. I loved our ships. I loved going to air shows. Like
big Navy base down there.
Yeah, just always. I was always a patriot. growing up Filipino, I always knew I was different because growing up Filipino is no shoes. You get hit with everything, like from everything that's within reach, you know. So
Flying slippers.
Yeah. And
Oh, they do that kind of like Guam.
yeah, you know, it's the same, you know. So
Yeah.
we grew up different. And then the one thing that my dad would always say was, don't embarrass the family. And for me, that was a little bit different than don't be a bad kid. You know, hey, don't do that again. Like, don't
Yeah.
embarrass the family. Like, that meant something different. So I knew that I had to, I knew I was different always. I always knew something was different. And as I started educating myself and finding out more about my roots and finding out about the Philippines, man, the national anthem of the Philippines, those two songs, the American national anthem and the Philippines national anthem, in the entire world are the most, I think, raw patriotic songs in the world. And the last words in the Philippine anthem, I believe, is "I would die for you." Or is that right? Direct? I would die for you. I would literally die for you. And it's like dual meaning. I would die for you personally, and I would die for the country.
For the country. Yeah.
And man, that's exactly what America asks for you too. You
Yep.
know, so
Yeah.
Philippines being, you know, I'm learning more and more. Philippines being like, I want to say the first ally of the U.S. and its longest running ally ever. It just felt right to me to be able to be loyal to both. It makes sense to me. You know, I'm a Filipino American. I understand the culture of the Philippines and what was expected of me growing up as a child, what you should be acting like in public, in society, how you should be restraining yourself. And then, man, understand at home, all hell could break loose, but that's home. That you don't carry that baggage around for anybody else in the world to figure out. You guys figure that out at the house by yourselves, you know? So, man, being a patriot of both was very easy for me. Once I figured out myself, I guess.
Nice. That's beautiful. Retirement, right? When we were there, your very last fight, it was beautiful, right?
Yes, sir.
Manila 2022.
Absolutely, and it's
December.
funny because Frank and I are in the audience, right? We have Vince and we have Lloyd, and we're surrounded by, I would say, you know, that average age was maybe 20-ish, right? Youngsters. And you're not an old guy, but you're older than maybe they're, you know, the people that we would figure they would follow. And when you retired that night and put your gloves on, they're crying. They know you. And so that was a beautiful moment for us, right? I'm sure that was important to you, right? Because, I mean, you're a proud American, but, you know, you love your Filipino roots and you were able to be in your nation and retire there. So I think that's great. But when we look at this, right, you have a podcast, you're bringing out the #1 grappling and submissions tournament. You've got a clothing line. You're acting. That's not really retirement, brother. So tell us about retirement, not retirement.
So this stuff is fun.
Yeah.
No matter what problems come, it's still not as stressful as getting punched in the face or getting kicked in the head, you know? So being retired from MMA and being retired from that part of the fight business is very, very stress relieving. Like I've always had other plans. I've always wanted to do other things and, you know, do more, but just have to wait. Just have to wait for the right timing and when things could, should, and need to happen. And I think this is where it's at right now. We're not 100% retired. We're retired from MMA, but you know, there's still always something in the books, and we'll just see if something happens. Has to check all the boxes, and a couple have come through, but we'll see how it goes.
Yeah. Later on in one of our other segments, we're gonna get to an email from an interesting.
Okay.
Or an interested viewer that
An interesting question.
wants to know if there's a chance that we see you back in the ring. Frank, this is your side of the street, right? The Truth Apparel. First off, how does a extremely already successful businessman and the former chief of staff for greatest governor in Guam ever had, right? Governor Eddie Calvo, shout out. To the
Shout out,
original
Gov.
EJ.
ADB.
Tell us about Truth Apparel. Why'd you do this? Why'd you get involved? And are you just absolutely loving it?
Yeah, kind of like what he said. It's a lot of fun, right? Putting these sorts of things together.
But it's probably a lot of work, huh?
Yeah, the Truth Apparel, there's a couple of components, right? There's the apparel side. You got to get the right sort of material, the sizes, the colors, all of that stuff squared away. And besides, the design of his logo, right, which we're very proudly wearing on our current apparel, the truthism component, right? Brandon has some sayings that we figured, it's right. Right there you go. No bullshit, just truth. Right? It's clear, right? And so that's a lot of fun trying to get that squared away. We're finding local designers, Guam-based designers. We got some Filipino-based designers, as well as some USA guys that we're engaging with, right? So there's that. We're doing everything that's assembled and printed here in Guam, USA, which is really important to Brandon, right? We could have easily gone to heaven forbid, China. And get
No, Chief.
Yeah, that was a quick thumbs down. Yeah, of course not. Why not? So there's that end, right? There's the actual product, and then there's the back end. What I call the back end, the online shopping experience. And we had a shout out to Guam Webs, Raj. He helped build our Shopify online presence as well as the website. So that was a lot of fun. I do some tech stuff.
Yes, sir.
So it's really nice, programming, discounts. Shipping when it applies, when it doesn't apply, watching your inventory movement, ordering stuff. And there's a lot going on, right? But yeah, it's fun. It's fun to do that. I've always wanted to do my own little apparel something. And I got, our partner, Brandon here. And so it's a tremendous amount of fun, especially now we're launching, right? At the beginning of the burn months, right? We've already started. Now we're here at Veterans Day is our next big sale. Right, we've already started the window. We have big windows,
sure
right?
did. Yes,
it is
sir.
nice, right? He's a veteran, of course. Then we have Black Friday. You're going to see some big sales there too. Then all the way into the Christmas season. Free shipping for orders over $100, et cetera, right? So
Yes, sir.
It's a lot of fun.
I'll tell you what's funny, Brandon. People who know Frank have known him for a long time. He's in the cannabis business, right? He was a great chief of staff, great campaign manager, a whole bunch of different things like that. And when I told them that he was running an apparel line, nobody was shocked. And it just tells me that people know that,
makes sense.
he's got that entrepreneurial brain and they know it's going to be successful. But that's the perfect segue to our next segment, our next feature called Truth Be Told, which is presented by the Guam Army National Guard. Again, Master Sergeant Joey Cruz.
Yep. Shout out.
Joey.
But
Shout
also
out.
brought to you by Truth Apparel,
Yep.
Rappler's Quest, and VERAfied Podcast. And you're listening to VERAfied Podcast right now.
Truth be
So
told.
here's where we want to go with this, right?
Okay.
There was obviously a huge shakeup. I don't know if you guys saw, but I didn't see it coming, right? Kevin McCarthy, Speaker Kevin McCarthy, now former, was kicked to the curb by his own Republicans. Truth be told, can the Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, galvanize the Republicans? Is that even possible? I guess maybe we could start off with, how do you feel about Speaker Mike Johnson?
I'm not sure how I feel about him yet. He's putting together an aid package to Israel pretty fast. People can say what they want about who you support, Israel or Gaza, Hamas, Palestine, whoever. I'm not okay with either side killing women, children, and innocent civilians. And that's kind of what's happening right now. I think no one should be funding either side and let them run out of whatever they have right now. I don't care where you're from, what you believe in. Nothing that they're doing is correct right now. I understand it's war, it's ugly, it's nasty, and whatever you want to say, you're harming children, You lose your position immediately for me. So I don't know how I feel of him as a speaker, but I am glad that he's bringing God back into the forum. I think that's, whether you believe in God or not, whatever religion you are, I'm glad that he is bringing back some kind of religion into the chamber to help guide and make people think twice about what they're voting on. Every little bit helps. So I'm hoping he can do better.
Chief?
Yeah, his point about obviously in war, right? Women and children, hands off, right? Innocent civilians. That being said, my position on this is that Israel has been an ally of America for as far as I can remember, in my lifetime, for sure, right? And the question I asked, I kind of asked my kids, I said, do you remember a time when the Israelis or the Jewish people attacked America through terrorists or through other... And they've never have. They've always been a solid, staunch ally of the country, as far as I can remember, right? The same can't be said about Iranian-backed Hamas, Hezbollah, etc., because they are, this is what turned me into a Republican. I was a freshman in college. The country of Iran took over the American embassy in Tehran. They held American hostages for close to 2 years. American hostages. And I was like 18, 19 years old. When I saw that, I just said, okay, this is not right. And I have other colorful language I can use, but for now, I'll just kind of keep it, PG-13, as we say, right? Fast forward to today, right? Hamas, and then it's all tied together. What's happened in our country? We stopped, drilling oil. We stopped the leases, and so a lot of it went to the blood of the business went to Iran, right? They went from something like $4 billion when Donald Trump was the president annually, whatever that metric, to now to $70 billion. So Iran is flush with cash. And so when I looked at some of those video clips of the Hamas tunnels, right? That's pretty freaking intricate. And it took a lot of time, effort, and money to build that, right? So I'm thinking to myself, what these guys are cleverly, and I have to kind of give them the credit for that, building, a defense against the Israelis while they sneak up in the middle of the night and rape, murder, and behead children.
Yeah, and if I could add, Frank,
to me, I would just that's a deal breaker for me at that point.
Those tunnels aren't like the makeshift Mexican cartel. Use whatever wood you can get. Those are concrete.
Oh yeah, here's the interesting thing, right? The type of munitions that Israel uses can penetrate 100 feet deep. Well, these things go down to 200 feet.
200, yeah.
Right? And it's like, 200 feet deep, and 300 miles underneath all these buildings, including hospitals and schools, so that, that's kind of their defense mechanism. Which,
10 times Guam, right? 10 times.
Yeah, I don't know. In a fight kind of situation in a war, that's kind of cheating, right?
Yeah.
So you lose me there.
Yes.
Right? You lose if you're using women and children as a shield to prevent you from committing your heinous acts. I call that's a deal breaker for me. So now going back to Mike Johnson. Yeah, he's bringing, he's got a lot ahead of him, right? Because what Matt Gaetz and those guys did to McCarthy, booting him out, crossing the street, crossing the aisle with Democrats. So the Republicans didn't kick him out. To your point, your original point, it was 8 Republicans and 200 plus Democrats who booted him, right? And I just sat there from a political standpoint, right?
Sure.
Matt, what the hell do you think you were doing? I mean, you showed, you broke that Republican caucus, so the strength of it. Because 8 went over, and Mike can go. It was 8, same 8 go. He's gone, right? So the Speaker Johnson's gone. So that showed a real weakness, and he didn't have a fallback plan either, which politically was real. I thought, and he's got to be smarter than that, but that was a real rookie move, I thought, for him to do that.
And it didn't look like there was necessarily a solid game plan, because it's not like there was somebody that was just waiting in the wings.
Yeah,
Jordan was thrown out there.
Yeah.
Scalise was first. Then they got Jordan. Then they had Emmer.
And Emmer, I think you and I were shocked, right, that he dropped out quickly.
I couldn't even spell his name. Who was this guy? Anyway.
Gone.
Yeah.
And then we end up with Johnson.
Yeah.
Speaking of another Mike, Mike Pence, former vice president.
Jesus,
he was in the race, and
found out he's worthless. He's even more worthless than people thought he was. Sorry.
Yeah, he dropped out. So I don't think I need to ask the question, right? How do you feel about him dropping out of the race? But
worthless.
Not a big fan, huh?
worthless as a VP. A lot more things coming out about that guy. He's worthless. What did he do as a VP?
He says that he was extremely supportive of the best president of the United States, and then of course after that he says,
You know what?
I'm gonna
it's
do a
funny
better
you say
job.
that. I'm thinking, man, if I was a VP to invite a guy like a Donald Trump, man, that's a freaking thankless job, dude.
Yeah.
I mean, Donald Trump, he's tweeting at 3 a.m. and you wake up in the morning and go.
What happened?
He
I'm in
put out
trouble.
48 tweets, and you're like, what the hell?
Yeah.
So, I don't think anyone could have done a great job under Trump because he's
yeah, kind of easy
He's
to
the
be
mountain.
overshadowed.
He's the mountain. That makes sense. Yeah,
tough to
Makes
work
sense.
with.
I didn't think about the political side, but that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, nothing
Yeah.
you can say or do is going to be good.
And so now, in
Enough.
addition, so Penn's dropping out, right? And you know what I find amazing? I like DeSantis. I like Nikki Haley. I think, wow, she's impressive.
Mm-hmm.
Like supreme in my mind, she's really impressive. Vivek Ramaswamy, young guy, smart. He's young, but he's a really bright guy. And
But man, he
and
says
he's from the
all the
outside.
right things all the time.
Yeah.
That makes me nervous.
Well, I don't.
Who's coaching him?
I think that guy, he's got an intellect. He's
Yeah?
just a smart guy. But I don't think he says the right things all the time. Some of his foreign policy stuff, Nikki Haley crucified him during that, I think, the first debate. She just went right at him. That is not going to work. And I forget what the issue was, but she torpedoed him. And he's
Okay.
that.
I didn't see it.
Yeah,
I
and I
didn't
just
see it.
thought,
Okay.
that's the youth in him.
Okay.
But he's a really bright guy, obviously very successful. He's built companies.
Mm-hmm.
So a guy like that, I mean, you could probably call him Donald Trump light, but in this day and age, and we'll talk more about this, at least my position on it, is we need someone from the outside
Yes, sir.
to get into Washington, D.C. 'cause
Yeah.
D.C. is it's a wow kind of a city, right?
It's
really a wow city.
And I don't think if you've not, man, for me, honestly, if you haven't served in the military or built anything with your own hands, I don't think you should be allowed into public office. That should become a prerequisite. If you haven't built anything with your own hands, or you haven't been in the military, I think that would be a game changer. I think.
No argument for me.
I think.
No argument for me. I mean,
Fuck, man.
yeah. Well, I'll bite my tongue on that one. I'll wait. 'cause
We'll come back to that.
Go, Chief, go!
You're listening to Brandon the Truth Vera and Frank Arriola and John Mafnas. This is the VERAfied Podcast presented by the Guam Army National Guard and the Three Blind Mice. So this is our debut of VERAfied Podcast. We have a segment called Verified Mail. Obviously, people don't know that. So our post-production, our wonderful Three Blind Mice guys who are bringing you this segment, right? I think, who is that? Is that Brother Gary who's going to be doing that? Lower third, you're going to see a QR code. We welcome your comments. We want to hear your questions. Please tell us
Hit
how
us
you
up.
feel.
Yeah.
And you know what? We want to hear your truth. So if you want to express yourself through us, by all means. All right. Now, when I was going around, Frank, I said, we're going to do this VERAfied Podcast. Several people said, all right, there's going to be a segment I can send in some comments. Good. For now, can you please ask Mr. Vera is what they called you.
Oh, okay.
So the question
Well,
that
yes,
came
sir.
in was, will we see Brandon Vera in competition in an MMA ring or in international grappling or BJJ tournaments ever again?
Maybe. We'll just leave it at that.
Pause.
Frank, is that a tease? There was that pregnant pause and then the tease. I don't know about
That
you,
baby
but
there. Okay. We shall see.
You know, Grappler's Quest is here. We have all divisions from beginner, youth, intermediate, masters, up to executive. I think I'm an executive now, or no, I'm masters. I'm master. So I maybe we'll see. Will I be fighting MMA again? I doubt it. Could I be fighting something else? There have been offers on the table. So 2 different offers have checked all the boxes that I've needed. So we're just in negotiations, and we'll see.
Cool.
by the way,
that's it.
Frank, shout out to Brian Simmons, right?
Oh, yeah.
Founder of
Hey.
Grappler's Quest. I don't think people realize Grappler's Quest is coming to Guam.
They don't know yet. We've been pretty hush-hush about it, you know. We've just been making sure that we cross all the T's, dot all the I's, make sure all our hashtags are correct. Yeah. You know, man, I thought it was going to be super easy, but it's not super easy, but it's something that I love, you know. Like my brother-in-law, my sister would say, this is a labor of love. I absolutely love Grappler's Quest. I love the tournament vibe. I grew up in tournaments since the 6th grade. I've been doing tournaments. I would waste weekends in tournaments. I would make friends in tournaments. You know, I think tournaments are the greatest things for our children and adults. And it's not something that's available to all the islands. And the reason why I say all the islands, man, I love the islands. We got the licensing for Guam, Philippines, Hawaii, Korea, Japan, Virginia, and it feels like I'm missing one. Korea, Japan, Hawaii. Man.
Something tells me you're aggressive, right? You're going to be able to add 5 or 6 more states and who knows, right? Several other islands in the region, right?
You know, I want to make sure that everybody on all the islands gets a chance. Virginia, I want to welcome to the world of grappling because they have some of the best wrestlers in the world. I remember competing in Grappler's Quest when it first came out. It's the very first tournament in the world that had a professional division, actually, where they paid guys to come in that were that good to compete for a show, and they never disappointed. The guys that were there for the super fights and the guys that were there for the professional competitions, oh man, it was such an amazing time. And all the kids got to watch these guys, and we got to watch them go to Pride, we got to watch them go to UFC, we got to watch them compete again in different parts of the world. So that feeling I wanted to bring back. You know, everybody keeps asking, Brandon, how come you're not teaching? Brandon, how come you're not teaching? How come you're not going somewhere and teaching? And I don't want to teach. I don't want to be involved with anybody that detailed anymore and give up that much of my life anymore to get you to be a world champion yet. Not yet. I want to hang out with my son, and when he's ready to do it, you can tag along for the ride, you know? But I do want to be involved in the beautiful art of jiu-jitsu, of grappling, of wrestling, of people becoming better. So when I talked to Brian and we started kicking around the idea of Grappler's Quest and doing it out here in this region, and he fell in love with it. Man, I've been with Grappler's Quest, I think when they very first started, you know, so it all made sense. We got some mats here to Guam.
Yep.
8 sites, 20 feet each competition area, plus like 5 feet in between each. It's a giant, giant mat. I wanted it to feel like Worlds, you know. I want it to be exactly how it is when you go travel either to Brazil or into California and you show up to the big tournaments. That's how it should be. And we have a warm-up mat. So I'm just excited, man. I'm excited, you know, and we're going to have problems. We're going to run into some things, but you know what? We're doing it, and I'm excited. Guam's the first one. Philippines is probably going to be second.
You're perfect.
Let's go. Thank you, Guam. Let's go. January 26th. Nope.
27th.
January 27th. January 28th. And we will be doing a seminar probably right before the tournament.
Hopefully with some big names flowing in for that.
Hopefully with some big names coming in.
Yeah. And that would be a good time, John, also to shout out. And by the time people are watching this podcast, Guam Army National Guard signed on as the first partner.
Guam Army National Guard was the first one.
Yeah.
Hands down, no problem. We got you. Let's
Awesome partners, man. So supportive.
Yep.
Yeah.
B11-time Grappler's Quest champion, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Even if you just rattle out a few other names, so those people not familiar with this who are maybe getting into grappling, or maybe they've been involved in, you know, BJJ, some names that have come out and have been great successes in the mixed martial art world or wrestling world that have come through Grappler's Quest.
So I would say 98% of the people that you have heard of today in the mixed martial arts world, back from the legends, guys before me, to guys that you're watching right now compete on the world stage, have been through Grappler's Quest. Everybody from the Rotula brothers to the #1 king himself, Gordon Ryan, to every single person. One of my most favorite is Ryan Hall. Ryan Hall, leg lock 50-50 kid. He was there, Grappler's Quest. Ricardo Almeida. Everyone who's been part of Grappler's Quest, man, you know, it's where the legends all started. We had to find out if we were good enough to grapple with people before we get punched in the face. So you had to start. You know, there's a bunch of tournaments. There's a bunch of other amazing quality tournaments around the world, here on Guam, but I just wanted Grappler's Quest to be here. I wanted the world to experience Grappler's Quest how I did. I want my son, who right now is 3 years old, to compete in Grappler's Quest later on when he comes of age. I want to make sure that it's a long and fruitful partnership for us and all of our partners to make sure that this isn't just a tournament for funds. It's a tournament to help grow the children, you know? That's my biggest goal. I came from tournaments, you know?
Yeah.
If we can fill the rest of the world with people like me and people like the legends that come from grappling tournaments, the world would be a better place.
Grappler's Quest coming to Guam in January of 2024. Please be looking out for that. All right, you've tuned in to VERAfied Podcast, presented to you by the Guam Army National Guard, Three Blind Mice, and Guam Windward Memorial. Thank you so much to our partners. All right, this segment, B, Frank,
Yes.
very simple. So true, or I call BS on that. All right? We're going to focus kind of on the fight game.
Okay.
Recently, former MMA guy gets into the boxing ring with, you know, a badass. But some people think he got cheated. So, is it so true? Or I call BS on that. Former MMA champ Francis Ngannou got robbed by the split decision that gave Tyson Fury the victory. B?
I got robbed too. We put money on that fight. Ngannou won, man. Tyson Fury is a bitch. That elbow was a hoe ass move. You need to rematch Ngannou and pay him twice because you lost that fight, son.
Or Fury versus Vera.
Come bring it. Let's add in elbows. Let's add in elbows. I'll take your tall, long ass on. Let's go.
Okay.
I seen him strike, bro.
Absolutely.
Tara.
Yeah.
La manyan. Let's go.
Yeah, not just
Gypsy
those
King.
elbows, but he hits you with that. The shin hits the dome.
Sorry, it made me mad, man. That was Ngannou. You're the man. Way to lock it down and hold it down for MMA. You look good, man. Wow.
Yeah, and I think, you know, some people are they're almost they're sympathetic, right? Like, you know, almost are giving him some, I don't know, like a disclaimer. You know, for a guy who's not a boxer, hey, it doesn't matter. Francis Ngannou is a bad mofo.
He's a bad
Period.
mofo, dude.
Tyson's hand dropped to his side and he couldn't move his arm. You were out, son. They gave you like 20-some seconds. On
Yeah,
the ground.
23.
Yo, man, you lost that
23
fight.
extra seconds.
And the reason why you lost, because you kept running. You didn't want to feel that again. The whole world knows. Gypsy Queen.
So I think Brandon calls BS on that.
Yeah.
BS on that. BS on that.
Okay.
Run it back, son. Run it back.
Run it back.
Run it back.
So true, or I call BS on that, Frank. The best fighter to come out of Grappler's Quest is Gordon Ryan.
Oh, shit. Notwithstanding present company, I would have to think so, right? I'd like to hear what Brandon's thoughts are on that.
You know, for me, it's a weird thing because people say fighter. I say if you're not striking, you're not a fighter. You're an athlete, grappling athlete. So, but Gordon Ryan, you can call yourself whatever you want. You mean, like,
Yeah.
you've earned it. But I think the best grappler in the world, no gi for sure. Gordon Ryan,
Yeah.
hands down, came out of Grappler's Quest. Yeah, he's like our Michael Jordan.
Yeah.
You know,
Okay.
like
So I think Frank and B are saying so true on that one.
so true.
But what if then we push it, right? Is it so true, or I call BS on that? Brandon Vera is the best fighter to come out of Grappler's Quest.
trying to think back the lineage of who was all there. I'm pretty sure Ricardo Almeida. There was a lot of people who went to MMA. I wouldn't say I'm the best. That came out of Grappler's Quest. There's
That's
other
just 'cause
guys.
You're humble.
There's other guys. No, it's just there's other guys. There's other guys who made their mark in the world. So I'm just one of them.
Just need to remind 11-time Grappler's Quest champ. But you know, that's just me.
Top five.
Okay. I want to find out, we've talked a lot of serious issues, and that's good because that's what we want people to be able to do when they tune into the VERAfied Podcast. We've got a perspective that we want people to hear, and it's going to be about everything from the Middle East conflict to the state of the economy. But sometimes people just want to find out, how do you feel about the things that I care about? So, we got the VERAfied Top 5. Today, we want to find out, Frank, B,
Okay.
what are your 5 favorite action movies? Frank, go.
Action movies.
Oh, action
my
movies. Shoot. I'd have to go Heat, the 95 movie. Oh. Right? De Niro, Pacino.
Yeah.
Nero, Pacino,
Homeboy, Val Kilmer. Ooh.
Everyone.
Hey, a young Ashley Judd.
Young Ashley Judd. Oh.
Yeah.
Holy.
So he was one,
get
and
me
then
started.
the kind of the present day version, Den of Thieves. Gerard Butler,
Yep. Yeah. Thieves.
Pablo Schreiber. Wow.
Ice Cube Jr.,
Ice
right?
Cube, yeah. Oh man, O'Shea
Jackson,
Jackson,
right?
yeah. We call him Fräulein out of that bar, right? The German Hofbrauhaus that he was working at, where he put it all together, right?
Absolutely.
Which is right across the street from. Well, yeah, you can tell I watched that movie like 18,000
Just a couple
times.
times. Just a couple.
Yeah. Action movies. So you got to throw in the Godfather series, at least for me. And I don't know if you
That's
call it
action.
action.
That's
Yeah,
action.
Yeah, right. I
action.
thought there was plenty of action. The horse in the bed. Remember that one?
yeah. Oh,
Cars
yeah.
blowing up when, you know what I mean?
Yeah, cars blowing up at the toll gate.
Touch my sister again.
That's
Yeah.
3. Yeah.
you see,
Carlo, Carlo got a beat down on the street with the leaking fire hydrants. That's 3. I don't know. Let me turn it to B, and I'll come
Frank,
back with
'cause
2 more.
Those 3, I mean, that's really good stuff, right?
Yeah.
I don't know if enough people have seen Den of Thieves. Obviously,
Oh.
the Godfather series is classic.
You got to watch the Den of
and
Thieves.
Heat. I mean,
Heat, yeah.
just that
Yeah.
scene alone, right, is worth the price of admission. Pacino and De Niro at the coffee shop.
Law-abiding
chatting up.
citizen.
Law-abiding
Another
citizen.
Gerard Butler.
Yes, sir.
Jamie Foxx.
Cool action film. That's
Bro,
a good
when
one.
you get in the beginning of that and when you watch it for the first time, you're like, what is going
Yeah.
on
That
here?
opening
Wait.
scene. I was
Yeah.
angry.
Wait. What's
Yeah.
going- Wait.
Yeah.
I was an angry
This is not
man.
okay.
I said, "Oh, something's coming.
Oh,
It's ruined."
yeah,
Great
yeah.
setup.
Yeah.
B.
Scarface.
Oh, Scarface.
Action horror film would be that the Japanese movie where they're all shipped off to an island. I think it's called what's the professional wrestling thing called when it's like you try to throw everybody out of the ring?
B, you know what I love
That's
about the
old
3
school
Blind Mice
WWE.
right now? They're researching. They're trying to find that, right?
Man, what's the name of that, man?
It's on everybody's-
Royal Rumble.
the tip
so
of their
it's
tongue.
Battle Royale.
Okay.
If you haven't seen that movie, that Japanese horror film, check that out. Battle Royale. It'll make your life will change for you after that.
Here I am. I'm thinking I'm a cinephile, and B throws out a movie I've never
Let me pull
seen.
my notes out. Let me
Battle Royale, man. Oh my goodness.
There you go.
And I think there's 2 of those. Man, any movie that Rambo was in, any movie that Arnold Schwarzenegger was in, before he said F your freedom. Before he said F your freedom. Any of those, all the 80s movies. Man, every single action 80s
That's true,
movies,
because
you know?
Commando can come out, and I'm like, this is corny, this is cheesy. Let me get my popcorn. Honey, we have to cancel that shopping date because...
Turn off your phones. Turn off your phones.
Here you go.
Yeah, that's Commando, you know? Oh man, every Matrix movie that's out right now, none of the Fast and Furious is. Man, just,
Well, the time they flew
Sorry,
out of
Vin.
remember the plane and the helicopter picked them up on the side?
man.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I think the Fast movies, right, and God bless them all, right? I mean, I love The Rock, but it's like, how do we get more ridiculous in
time.
this show, right? And the next one.
yeah.
Just crazy, just crazy. The submarine, it's even hard to watch that. But I know you guys are going to agree. John Wick series.
All of them.
Yeah.
We talked about
Yeah.
it. Equalizer.
Equalizer 1, 2, and
Denzel
3.
Washington is 906 years old, right? I think he was a classmate with Moses, but that's a bad
You don't age.
mofo when
You
he
don't
gets there.
age.
No.
He doesn't age. It's reverse aging. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Dude, he stays in
and
shape.
Equal 3 was just...
The Jason Bourne series. I mean, I don't know if you call that
Oh,
gangster
yeah,
action.
Jason Bourne.
Jason Bourne.
Yeah.
Dude, that guy, he He's
Absolutely.
he's a badass.
Can I just
Kill
tell
Bill.
you? I just got to throw
No,
this out, right?
Kill Bill.
Kill Bill.
Kill Bill. And just so you know,
Kill
Kill Bill came out. We are so fortunate to have the Three Blind Mice, but I just have to tell you, our director, there's only two people I know, Frank,
Yeah.
who have a profile page on IMDb, right? The Internet Movie Database. One is Brandon Vera, and the other one is our esteemed director, right, Bojo Molina. I mean, and so he said, Kill Bill.
Yeah, direct.
Yeah, it's just we're lucky to have this whole team. They're just amazing. But yes,
Yep.
Kill Bill is really good. I do have to say, back in the day, maybe not so much now.
And
but,
he's a supreme movie junkie. This
oh,
one,
I
right?
love movies. I'm a freak. But there was something about just Jackie Chan getting on a
Yes, sir.
screen.
Yeah.
Yes,
right?
sir. Yes, sir.
Jackie Chan gets there. I don't care if it's Rush Hour and it's supposed to be funny.
Rush Hour.
Or even some of the ones. I hate
Anything.
movies that are dubbed, but I'll watch whatever he was in, right?
And that's another thing you're talking about dub movies. Saturday afternoon Kung Fu Theater, anything Kung Fu Theater related was the best action flicks in the world.
Yeah.
Like you said, because you said dubbed. Oh yeah, everything was dubbed back
Never
then.
matched it up, but it didn't matter, right?
Yeah.
Oh, I remember just like a little child, man. We'd probably watch from the afternoon all the way. If they had a marathon, we would watch until the next. We wouldn't sleep. We'd just stay up and just watch.
TV marathon.
Yeah.
Movie marathon.
So,
times.
you know what? When you guys send in your mail to us, let us know, right? We want to read some of. Do you agree with us? Did we miss a bunch of things? I know people are going to say, you didn't mention any war movies, right?
Oh, all of them. All of them. Yeah.
Saving Private Ryan. Let's start with that.
Heartbreak
Absolutely.
Ridge.
Oh,
Yeah, Heartbreak Ridge. Yeah.
absolutely.
There's a bunch.
That's going back.
Yeah.
There'll be, yeah.
Yeah. All of the war
Full
movies.
Metal Jacket.
Full Metal
The Deer Hunter.
Yeah.
Yeah, Apocalypse
Yeah,
Now.
yeah.
Stop. Honestly,
Absolutely. Yeah, but we know we're going to miss some things. But listen, this is the inaugural, the debut episode of VERAfied Podcast. I want to
Yep.
thank, obviously, the man of
Man.
the hour, Brandon, the Truth Vera, Chief Franklin Arriola. I mean, this was amazing. And it's funny, right? Because the three of us, and if you add our partners here in the studio, our little brother Lloyd, we have these conversations just normally, right?
Normally.
And we're just so blessed that people want to tune in, and dare I say it, sponsors want to pay to support our show. So we are just grateful for everybody putting this together. This is how we're going to wrap this up. I want some truisms, right? If you can. Tell me, what is it out there that people need to hear that they're not hearing from maybe some of that fake news?
Oh, gosh.
No pressure.
So I'll do this one on a social level. If a man can't keep his word, he ain't worth shit. On a social level, on a contract level, even on a handshake, you know? In all parts of your life, in all forms of the matter and the subject, stay close to people who keep their word. Understand that that means something, and that social currency that carries is more valuable than anything else that you could post or hashtag about. Thanks. Sorry. Didn't mean to be
Excellent.
so
No,
serious.
good. All good. there.
Sorry, Chief.
Frank, I'm going to tell you, right? I was going to give mine. I'm not going to follow that.
Don't go to McDonald's at noon. Drive through.
Hey,
Don't do that. That was my.
sorry,
Oh,
Chief.
goodness.
Sorry,
no,
guys.
it's all good.
Sorry. I didn't
no,
mean to
no,
be
no.
serious.
You're,
That was a
no,
good one. Thanks,
no,
guys.
that's fine. I'm sitting like, wow, I'm mortified at this point. Gosh, I get all wrapped up. I have, you got a Treo. A Treo's 3, right? Yeah. My youngest is 18. He's a freshman in college. He's doing great out playing rugby for St. Mary's College in Moraga. But him being there and watching how, government, how it's run in America, and what I see. I just see our country just being flipped upside down. And
from the inside.
Yeah, it's guys my age are like, what the fuck is going on, right? Because it's really it's like I don't even understand this. Men competing against women, against swimming, okay, fine, and then he's in their locker room afterwards. I mean, that's just nuts, and we have to we have to reflip that script because that's just wrong. It's wrong on all levels.
It's not okay.
Yes, it's not okay.
It's not okay.
It isn't okay. And you know, this is our episode 1, right? So we have a bunch more episodes, and we're going to dig a lot deeper into those sorts of things. 'Cause I think that's important.
Yeah.
That people know really what's going on. And again, that's one of the reasons why I wanted to do this with Brandon, with you guys, is to kind of check everybody else. You know, what's going on in their universe and how we see things.
Absolutely.
So that's my thing.
For me, this is all I'm going to say. There's $114 billion that's been allocated for Ukraine, and I'm going to tell you right now, I feel for those people, especially I think Brandon and Frank brought it up earlier. The women and children should not be subject to torture or death. They didn't do anything. They're innocents. But America, if you're going to spend $114 billion in Ukraine, take $114 billion times 10 and spend that in the inner cities where we are just letting the homeless live out in the streets and we're just forgetting about them and we're not taking care of America. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in to the VERAfied Podcast. John Mafnas, Brandon Vera,
Yeah.
Frank Arriola. Peace.
Peace.